Hi, Karen, and welcome to Walk in the Park.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And we went into this moment when you're back to your former playground and also the playground for early stage startups, the Startup Lab.
It's perfect. And I actually went to school there.
Exactly.
So the reason I got a job here was that I studied there.
Was it?
So it's a part-time job.
Because you're also studying computer science and interaction design exactly here in the university.
Yeah.
And also you have really cool, impressive background and track record with several recognitions from including Forbes 30 Under 30, many other Women in Tech awards from the whole Europe, I feel. And you've been and still a co-founder of No Isolation, which was one of the pioneers with a very interesting story, very big impact. And now you recently joined another startup.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to try pitching it. I haven't done that too many times yet, so it's
Cool.
yeah.
We'll test it.
Yeah.
Let's walk.
All right.
So Walk in the Park podcast is where we invite founders to share about their journey while taking a walk outside, and we think and believe, and we got the feedback that it's pretty cool and interesting to see how your brain works and reflect on your own journey while you're walking and breathing and taking a break kind of from the back-to-back meetings or something else. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have walk and talks often in your life?
Not too often. Should be more often. We were good at it at the London office, No Isolation, but there I had colleagues who kind of actively asked if I wanted to join walk and talks.
And you joined.
I always say yes, but my mind doesn't like jump to it. Whenever I'm on the phone, I will walk. I cannot like talk on the phone without moving. So I know that my mind works better when I'm like not sitting still. But still, no meetings. I tend to grab myself a cup of coffee and hope that someone's booked a room.
So I'm really curious to hear more about you. So who are you? What do you do now? And
who am I? I grew up in Oslo. I never imagined that I would live here for basically all my life. But I failed at this business economics school in Edinburgh because I'd chosen accounting without noticing. But like filling out forms is not my strong suit. So I filled out wrong and ended up in an accounting program that was really not for me. So I moved back to Oslo without a plan. And one of my friends, Ingrid, she suggested that I check out computer science. And I had absolutely no background with programming. I didn't really know what Java was, but it's okay. I can check it out. I like math. Maybe it's for me, and I have never looked back. It was incredible. So I don't know. I ended up studying in Oslo, even though I was dead set on not doing that. And then I got a part-time job at Startup Lab. So then I ended up working in Oslo, and then, I don't know, one thing led to another, and here I am.
Yeah, but you were actually at some point in London, right, with No Isolation, but then now you're back.
Well, first I actually moved to Amsterdam to set up our Dutch office. So I lived there for half a year, and then moved quite directly on to London and lived there for almost 2 years, actually.
So after starting a part-time job in Startup Lab, you then eventually started UX consultancy
Lab.
company, UX Lab. So how did that happen? Why you decided to do that?
Well, we were several students from MIFI at Startup Lab, and I think we all saw the same, that these startups, they're not testing their products properly. They're validating their ideas with the people sitting next to them and their families, but that's not how we thought you should do it. And we figured we can do something about that. So we quit our part-time jobs and set up UX Lab, and it was just a quite regular consultancy company, but with very driven UX designers. And we got quite a few like very cool assignments. But at the same time, I don't know, it was not my type of journey. I'd fallen completely in love with Startup Lab and how people were thinking, how they're building companies. And luckily I got a new job at Startup Lab, so I've actually worked at Startup Lab, started UX Lab, started working at Startup Lab again, and then founding No Isolation at a Startup Lab.
What was wrong with the UX consultancy here? What was not yours? What was, you said just now, like it was not what I wanted to do?
It was a lot of things. We were 5 students starting it, and we hadn't got our baseline right, so we didn't agree on all of the fundamentals. So that was a steep learning. Like what do you actually have to agree on before founding a company with someone? I also realized that I'm a UX consultant now, which part of the point of starting a company for me was to not become one of those, because we were like the entire student pool at computer science, we were peppered with these consultancy companies wanting to hire us. And it was, I don't know, something in me that was opposed to that. And then all of a sudden that was what we were doing. And you never get to finish things. You don't get to double down. You don't get to do everything you think is right because you're always on someone else's deadline. So there were several things in that was just, it wasn't for me, at least not in that phase. And then I got that job at Startup Lab, working with a partnership things that is currently now very successful. Cool to have been a part of that journey as well.
So your learnings through that period from working and going back to Startup Lab after you've been a kind of a co-founder, right? You started a company, then going back. So what was differently for you, and what then you believe made you to make a step to start your own company?
I think I was 100% sure that this is for me. Like, there's so many things here that feel right. I love the attitude that everyone at Startup Lab have, where they're just, okay, I'm willing to risk my reputation, my salary, my everything to build something. There's something in that has a very strong appeal. So I figured I have to give it a proper go, and in 2015 started looking for a co-founder and found it amongst some other Startup Lab alumni in Marius Obel and Matthias Doyle, and we agreed on all of the fundamentals, and we wanted to solve a real problem, and we wanted to build a company that we could work in forever, which I think is a very healthy attitude to have when starting something, because build something that lasts. And it gives you grit as well. This is not supposed to be done. Like, this is supposed to last. So yeah, I don't know. It was never a question in my mind whether or not I'm gonna start something again. It isn't now either. I'm gonna start something again.
I'm sure about that.
Very much enjoying right now being employed by a startup, because it takes off a lot of pressure. So I'm.
In August 2015, you started to look for co-founders. What was this process? How you were looking for co-founders? What you were looking for? What was the process for you?
Well, I had looking for. I had a couple of names. I knew that my programming skills, like tech development skills, weren't nearly good enough. So if we're going to build something proper, so my computer skills needed backing, definitely. And I knew that I wanted to have a team. Like, I don't believe in starting something on completely by yourself. I think you need someone to celebrate the ups and cry over the downs with, because no one else, like, no matter how much your mom cares for you, she's not a part of what you're doing, so she can never understand. And I feel like having someone next to you who truly understands why this hit so hard or why this was so great, that matters. Someone who's willing to discuss it with you forever. So yeah, I knew that I wanted to start with someone, and I knew that I wanted to have someone technical. And Marius and I, we'd known each other for quite a few years. Matthias was a part of Marius's previous team. And then we actively found our fourth co-founder, Anna, when realizing that we're three technical people who don't necessarily know how to talk to people. So we need outside world view, which was very good for us.
The one talking to people, Anna? Or?
Anna Holmeide. And she's taught me most of what I know. So
you were looking for skills. What about personal qualities, people qualities?
We were very conscious that we all needed to have this same drive, same ambition level, same attitude towards building a company and doing it professionally. Like, this was not going to be a hobby for us. It's a very real thing, and I think we took too long in like recognizing what kind of a culture do we want in the team, stuff like that. That was not the first pieces, but in our new startups now in Padaya, I'm very happy that that's from day one top of the list. Like, we need a team that functions very well together. Also between the humans, not just like work-wise. I've spent I don't know how many thousand hours thinking about culture and how people work together and who we are and how we should behave, and it's a never-ending subject, and I think you get better every time you discuss it or think about it, so it's worth spending time on.
Let's go to the idea. So usually founders say it's not happened one day. I got an idea. There were several situations or things happen. So what about you? How did you get the idea about noise isolation?
This actually was a friend of mine who had been or was a nurse, and she mentioned these kids and how they get a lot of visitors when they're hospitalized the first few days, and then people leave them be, which is very sad. I remember bringing that up with Marius and Matthias, like, oh my God, there must be something we can do. And we started Googling actually together, like trying to figure out what happens to you if you get a heavy diagnosis as a child today. Like, what's there for you? What are they being offered? And we found almost nothing. And then I posted a few surveys in these Facebook groups for parents of kids with various diseases. And like, this was my studies, right? Sending out surveys and doing interviews, but I'd never seen anything like it, because the responses were just overwhelming. People were answering and forwarding the survey to others. Like, are you actually trying to do something for my son? Are you thinking about this? It was a desperation there that was kind of heartbreaking to see, but also so encouraging when you're thinking about doing something. It was a very cool start where one of the people we met very early on the Fitrøy, she lost her daughter to cancer, and she'd started this charity fund, and she helped us a lot with the thinking of, okay, how can we actually build something that makes this isolation that they're experiencing a lot less severe? Because it was the very clear red thread in all the surveys, all the interviews, that these kids, they're not missing information. Like, information got across to them. They were missing participation, like being there and hearing things for themselves and being able to comment back. And it was a very clear case for when we'd gathered quite a lot of data that we need to build something telepresence. We don't know what, but we need to move in that direction, because they need to actually be there. So we touched upon a few very stupid ideas, like you should, and then ended on telepresence as a solution, and then starting to try to find out, how do we build telepresence that will work in a classroom setting for kids that are often very reduced, where they might not have energy, and we need to make it super easy to use, which was the beginning of AV1. And today's very cool. It's I think it's 4,000 something people using it across Europe. So it's for their like everyday stuff, which
should feel really meaningful.
It's very cool. Like, I think it's incredible to be able to do something like that. What a privilege is that, to sit down and say, okay, I want to try to sort this and actually be able to at least achieve parts of it, and they continue scaling. So hopefully it will be a non-issue at some point, and that matters. Yeah.
Problem versus idea.
Yeah.
Quite some of the founders often fall in love with their idea, their
Yes.
technology.
Yeah.
And some other founders I was having on the walk and talk, they said you should marry yourself with the problem.
Yes.
So what is your point on that?
100% marry yourself to the problems. I'm very technology agnostic. Like, I don't really care what technology you use. And when you look at the AV1, like, there's nothing revolutionary tech-wise in that, but it's revolutionary use of technology in the UX of it, and how it's thought about and designed for a particular purpose. That's where the magic happens. And I am very in love with problems, and I'm very much for scraping your initial idea to do your proper homework on what has been done before, how has it been done, did it work, did it not work, and then look at what's possible with the technology that exists today. And I think by thinking that way, you're so much more sturdy when new technologies come along, because they're only there to support your solving of an issue, right? And yeah, it makes zero sense to me to think in any other way. And then at the same time, I get why people fall in love with ideas, because that's the engaging part, right? That's what makes your heart beat faster.
But was it naturally for you that you were always like that, or you are like that you kind of know that the problem is much more important, it's much bigger, and I will not be falling in love, or you trained yourself?
I think we were quite well trained at uni. That was a part of the interaction design studies, like how to actually go about designing good products. And then I very much lived it in no isolation. So I've seen the effect of this several times, and how you can actually develop products out of thin air if you have a problem that's worth solving. So I know that it works, which helps. But I think it was uni. I think they're very clear there that you're there to solve issues, right? Not have cool ideas.
What about the first year or first years? Probably some setbacks for you as a CEO of the company, which is basically have responsibility for all of it.
Yeah.
So how was that for you compared to also starting another consultancy company and now?
So I think the no isolation journey, it's been a lot of ups and downs, without doubt. I think the scaling down employees and not having seen or been able to predict where we headed now, and then having them to fail kind of the people that you've promised a job and the people that you've encouraged to be a part of a journey, and to tell them that you're no longer going to be here for that. That's without a doubt the toughest part of the job. That said, I'd do it differently, but I'd do it again. Like, that risk is worth taking, because that's what it takes to build something. And I would definitely go slower than we did at No Isolation, because I was 25 when this started, right? And we raised our first round, we got our first customers, and we had all this money in the bank, and our chair was like, go. You're not fundraising to have this like stored up, you're investing this in scale. And I completely believed him. Like, I was just going as fast as I humanly could. And I've learned about myself that I'm very good at executing, but I'm not so good at that medium stage planning, like the 2 to 3 years. And 5 years and beyond, that's very easy. Like, that's a bright future, it's gonna be great. But the 3 to 5 years, it costs me a lot to think in that perspective. So I need people around me who does that.
You do that, yeah.
Like, I know in my brain that of course that can happen, but it just refuses to stick.
Talking about your optimism as well, and I see your positivism as well, and like those setbacks and those challenges, those things, how do you deal with them? What is your attitude?
Well, I have ADHD, so I fly very high and I crash very hard, and then I bounce back very quickly from both. So it's I have high valleys and low and everything, and then it sorts itself out. I'm not It's a super strength when you have all of the right tools and resources around you to leverage it. I think it's a difficult subject to discuss, because I know that I wouldn't have been able to leverage any of that if it wasn't for the fact that my mom could pay for a psychologist when I was young, if it wasn't for the fact that I could retake classes because I could afford to. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't pure superpower about this, where you're obviously overrepresented on all of the bad statistics as well, right? And with good reason. So I've been very lucky that there's people around me who kind of want to harness the energy and use it in the right way. And I'm leaning into that with everything I have, and making sure that I need to surround myself with people who give me energy and builds me up, because I am easily dragged down. And so,
You've been through this kind of almost burned out early in your age, right?
Yeah.
So you've learned what is that and how to deal with that. So how do you think that helps you now to prioritize your well-being?
I think it helped me in several ways, but I was actually out on leave for almost 7 months out of the second round at Startup Lab. I thought I was completely useless. I was convinced that I can do no good. I'm never gonna amount to anything, and it's very scary, right? When you lose confidence in yourself and when you have to kind of rearrange all your ambitions, because now I'm never going to be able to reach them anyways. And looking back at how useless it actually made me, because I was useless at that point in time, I think it's helped me a lot to see others as well, that you're not always the person that you are in this moment, right? You can be a bad version of yourself and then still pick yourself up and become great. And
How did you pick yourself up? What helped you?
time and money and psychologists.
And people around, right?
Definitely people around, but it's yeah, I don't know. It took a lot of time, and I think back, I never thought it would take that much time, and that's another disappointment, right? Where you keep disappointing yourself that you're not back up on your feet. And now I've never been even close to burnt out after that again. I feel whenever something's coming my way and like this is draining and I'm going further and further down, I will stop. And during the 9 years at No Isolation, which have been without a doubt like much more stressful and much worse, objectively speaking, than anything I'd done before, it's never been close to me feeling like I'm actually out, not burned out. After my first pregnancy, I went on 40% leave for 2 months, and that was because I'm starting to be tired. I'm not functioning well. I'm not delivering like I should, and I need to slow down. And I don't know. I think knowing where this might end up made it a lot easier to say I'm going to go on that 40% leave, because that's going to cost us a lot less than me like crashing properly.
What about founder traits? Any essential you think you could name?
Yeah, it's been mentioned so many times, so it's the biggest cliche there is, but grit, stamina, like just you have to hang in there. It's not gonna be sunny. It's not gonna just magically become all right, and a lot of things just take a lot of time. So you need to hang in there, and that's not always great advice either, right? Because a lot of founders should quit and say that enough is enough. But I think it's the most important skill, and No Isolation has been very close to bankruptcy a couple of times, and you cannot give up, because then if you do, there's nothing.
Those days close to bankruptcy and almost giving up, what you've done?
You need the mental space, you need the break. Now I have kids, so you automatically get that break, because they're going to demand your full attention. Yeah. But that's a good thing, right? And you start putting things in perspective in a very different way. And no one is going to be as efficient as I am when I get my hours back, because you learn to prioritize now.
Yes. So what about culture? You mentioned, we touched it a little bit in the beginning. So what was that for you? You've been growing really fast with No Isolation, and it was a big process with the whole sales process to the public sector, growing, bringing more people, attracting talent. So what was the company culture, and what is company culture to you now?
Company culture is everything, so it's kind of a difficult question to answer. I think what we were super successful with at No Isolation was culture not being built by me, but being built by others, and kind of owned by others as well, because it was shaped in so many directions and became a place that fitted everyone. We had all of these rituals where you compare it to cults, right? And there's so many nice things about this startup cult ritual thing, where it can obviously be dangerous, but it is so connecting, and you feel like you're truly a part of something. And as long as you don't pull that too far, I think it holds great power. Same with everything great, it can become dangerous. I also think in the nature of our products and what we did at No Isolation, it's very natural that we attracted a lot of fantastic people, right, who wanted to change the world for the better and who were very much there for the mission and vision. And that's a privilege, right, to work with kind, clever, driven people is what everyone wants. Right?
That is one of your mottos, right? Also,
Absolutely.
to make this world better and
Yes.
to work with kind people.
Feels like you've said yes inside your brain before processing. I haven't heard what they're gonna do yet. And I had to initially think about it because I had this other job and it was,
We can do a bit of background for people listening. So you've been with No Isolation as a CEO for all those years, but then you stepped down as a CEO, and you're still on the board.
Yes.
You engaged and involved, but you wanted to, after the second maternity leave, maybe try something else, and then.
And to let No Isolation try something else. I think I'm the further I come along in my journey, I realize that I'm made for the beginning. Like I thrive now where nothing's set. We don't know anything, and it's not stressing me out at all. Like
Gives you
okay,
energy.
we can figure something out, and that wasn't the phase No Isolation is in anymore, and have been for quite some time, where it's all about optimizing, fixing, making it slightly better at every turn. And I want to like instinctively reinvent the wheel every time, which is ridiculous, and it takes energy from the organization as well. So I think I'm gonna have a new second child. I'm done being like scale-up CEO, because I cannot imagine a tougher job. Okay, we need to look for someone who's willing to take on that job, and luckily we found the perfect guy. So I'm very happy. But then now I'm at Padaya. And
So tell us more about that. So the Magnulf, they were starting out going back to Startup Lab themselves. They're all serial entrepreneurs, and you said yes to the phone call in the beginning, right? And now you are the Chief Product Officer.
Yes.
With them. So tell us more.
Our mission is to be your single source of truth, because everyone running a company, scale up, you have this overwhelming amount of company data. You have accounting systems, CRMs, HR system, product systems. Like you have so much insight into yourself, but very few ways of actually leveraging it. So what we want to do is gather the most important data from any of your systems, accumulate it to give you insight, and then start helping you predict. Because when you can calculate the value of an actual SQL because you have all the history, then you can also make it much easier to take bets, right? I can give you some actual insight into what will it mean if I invest this type of money in this type of market and do ABC. So that's the kind of goal, to be the place where you get truth and foresight. And then we think it's going to be incredible when we have these data sets that are horizontally gathered to run horizontal AIs. Because anyone building a company today, like, where are you going to deploy AIs in your business operations? Like, you can swap out some systems, you can run vertical AIs to make your systems better individually, but where do you like really change the game? And you have to have clean data for that. And I think it's going to be so cool, and I'm going to practice my pitch more. I think for everyone having run a company, they know that you're placing bets all the time, and you're trying to be clever in how you place them, and how can I eliminate risks? You want to do the same things over and over again to know what you're doing. But how can we make you better at taking risk and better at placing bets?
That sounds really cool.
It's going to be great.
What made you say yes? Was it the idea or the team?
Team, definitely. To be honest, I didn't understand the idea, but I understood the problem, because he was preaching to me, right? I've been trying to navigate this for 9 years, and it's been a mess. And we've had CFOs trying to help me figure it out, and we have board meetings where you're discussing these things without the actual knowledge you need to discuss it properly, and you see how great we are once we have the insight. And it's just, he was definitely preaching to the choir when he started saying that this is what we're solving. It's like, I can be a part of solving that, and especially because I think if we can make others better, then that's incredible, right? Building products to solve proper problems, like that feels right. And I'm a product person, and this is where I kind of product grew up. So it's a cool walk.
That's really cool. What is that personally for you then, going back into like that space working with the product? Do you feel you missed it?
Yes, and I feel like I have over-invested my time at No Isolation thinking about products. But we've always had amazing products, right? So it's easy to get distracted. Now, no one's upset with me for spending all of my time on products, which I'm like... And I have no employees that are reporting to me, which I think I'm going to keep that way for as long as humanly possible. It's a big freedom. Like, I'm taking care of myself and then hopefully making the rest of the team better whilst doing that. But it's to see Ivan, the CEO, like handling everything was just like his calmness and his, like, he knows what he's doing. It de-stresses me out completely. So I've been on cloud 9 for almost 3 weeks now, and just like skipping around, being very happy. Like, am I really getting to do this? Are you paying me to do this? I'm very happy.
And you also said on one of the interviews, I loved it, it's underestimated how much money we can make out of happiness as well. And all this is an interesting and a big topic.
Imagine that. If we invested in people's happiness, I think, as a society, we would gain 10x back on every penny we put in people's happiness. But instead, we do the opposite and ask you how sad you are and how much you are required to get to kind of handle this sadness that you're experiencing. It's the system is fucked up, but
maybe you will improve it.
One day, I hope so.
What about entrepreneurship in general? What do you like the most or love the most about being an entrepreneur?
I think what kind of struck me when going back into Startup Lab and realizing that I'm not only here visiting, I'm here again. It's the attitude and everyone just really wanting something. And it's unique, right? I don't think you find that in other workplaces where everyone shares this drive, where they really want to show up to work to achieve something.
So you mentioned that during the walk that you probably will be doing something differently, going maybe slower. What about bootstrapping or investors going slower? What other things would you do differently next time, or if you would start again?
No, I think what we're doing incredibly well now at Malaya is having this product focus in the first year. We're not in No Isolation. Like, we obviously had to spend some time building our hardware and stuff, but we were full speed from day one. We wanted to sell everywhere and to everyone and just scale. And we made so many commercial mistakes and we put on so much commercial debt where you have all of these customers requiring something from you and then you have to help them rather than build your product. And at Palaya now we're all product building. That's what we're doing. We're taking on 5 pilots this year and nothing more. And it's like, it's about building something that's truly incredible and then scaling it. And I love that attitude. And then we'll see how long we get to do that before someone comes and like, you have to sell. I don't believe the timeline we have, but it doesn't matter. I think that's the right way to go about it. And
So focus is one of the important things for startup founders.
Absolutely. So never ever again will I build 2 completely different products in completely different customer segments before I have the power to kind of establish a new company. So I've learned that the hard way. We made a second product for the elderly as well, and then that's sold off now completely. So it was packaged and sold to Abilia.
So what about taking decisions? How are you at taking decisions? Is it an important quality for a founder?
Yeah, I think you have to be, I don't know if I want to say bold or brave, but maybe brave. Like, you have to trust yourself and you have to actively seek the advice you need to be able to make decisions. And then you have to be flexible, both in terms of coming to terms with having to rearrange your head, like I wasn't right, we have to redo it, and to stick with what you think might work. And that balance that's tough, and you need a team around you that can help you with that, and you need good advisors that can help you with that, because that's not easy, and you're never going to be completely right? Yeah, and you have to come to terms with that. There's no black and white here.
But it's not only about surrounding people, it's also about being good at asking.
Yes.
And how is that for you? Are you good at asking advice and asking for help?
I think so. I think I lean quite heavily on the people around me and both expect and hope that they'll do the same to me. Everything becomes better once it's in several people's heads. That makes all the sense in the world to me. So like spreading the problem on several people is always good.
Did you know from when you were small you will be building a company? How were you when you were a kid, actually?
I think, unfortunately, a lot like my daughter, which means that my parents had a handful. I always both loved and hated school. Like I love the subjects and learning and the figuring things out and thinking curious. But the structure and the being quiet, and there's a few things there that doesn't fit me so well either. And I think being who I am, I've internalized that a lot, which isn't always great. So yeah, it helps being grown up now. I did not know that I could be a founder, so that wasn't a part of my plan until Alexander Voksen hired me to start up Lab, and I knew.
What about advice to maybe your children when they will be grown-ups? What decision to make, what to do, how to start the
Focus on what gives you energy, and if you find things that gives you energy, then triple down on that. I think this quest to always be happy, that's never going to work because we're not always happy, but finding things that makes it worth like doing it a bit more, that's always good.
Still?
Yeah, but you appreciate them so much, you kind of want to shield them from everything and at the same time push everything you know into their head, and it's just, it fucks with my head. Like, I don't know how to go about this.
Sounds cool. I'm looking forward to follow.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining
Thank
and
you.
sharing about your journey with us.